I came to spend time with Ximena and the children and to meet the entire family and get to know everybody more.
Mike's back in Colombia and Ximena is delighted to see her fiancé.
Uf, huele como a popó.
Okay, maybe not so delighted.
It seems like you're surprised that I came, but is it a good surprise or is it a bad surprise?
Oh yeah, I mean, look at her body language. Definitely a great surprise, Mike. Great surprise.
O sea, normal.
Okay.
Oh dear. So, after getting engaged and then departing from Colombia in the last episode, Mike, who's now been back in the States for 2 months, reveals that he's taken Ximena's criticism to heart and he's determined to make some changes.
So I'm really trying to focus on being a little bit neater, a little bit more organized, because it meant a lot to Ximena.
What's more, he's clearly making plans to bring Ximena and the kids over to America. He's already started speaking to lawyers about the visa, and the wedding is only 1 month away.
I have been talking to a lawyer about the visa process. And I have tried to make more wedding plans with Ximena because we're supposed to get married in Colombia next month.
But there's a problem. So Mike goes downstairs to speak to his dad and granddad about what he should do.
So I'm getting ready, packing and things, because I'm going back to Colombia tomorrow. But ever since I left Colombia, I noticed something seems a little off with Ximena. She's just getting a little bit more distant. I still do want to marry her, but I really just want to go down there on this trip just to see what's going on and just get like a feel of everything.
Okay.
And the reason why she's being distant might be down to the fact that Mike is refusing to pay for her plastic surgery.
She wants to, I guess, like lipo to get skinnier. And she wants some augmentation for her breast.
Really?
Yeah. I told her that she looks fine the way she is, but she's like adamant about getting it. And she's like trying to ask me to pay for it and all that.
Which, understandably, causes some questions for his dad and granddad. They're worried that Ximena is just using Mike for money, and they're unsure whether she really does want to move to America to be with Mike.
It ain't your responsibility, Michael.
Yeah.
You got enough to take care of.
You still sending her money? Or any kind of money for anything?
I'm helping her with like half like rent.
I think that should stop. I mean, you can't buy love because when the money runs out, the love is gone.
The problem is, unlike his granddad, Mike is very inexperienced when it comes to love. He's convinced this is the real deal. He loves Ximena, and regardless of the problems they're facing, they'll be able to work it out in person. Unfortunately, both his dad and granddad don't quite agree.
Well, you don't want to listen? Do what you think is best.
Yep.
But we know what we're talking about. I've been out with many girls before I met your mother.
Grandmother.
But that's not the point. You don't want to make a mistake because it could ruin your life.
So, with his granddad's warning very much in his mind, Mike travels back to Colombia. And I've got to say, when I watched this clip, it reminded me very much of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Now, sadly for Mike, right from the off, things don't seem quite right. For a start, unlike his first visit, Ximena doesn't even come to meet him at the airport.
She didn't come to the airport like she did on the first visit, and that kind of made me feel a little like something's wrong.
And then, when he gets to her house, the one that he pays half the rent for, she doesn't exactly seem too excited to see him.
Este viaje es muy diferente al primer viaje porque cuando la primera vez que él vino, estaba enamoradísima y quería conocerlo. Pero desde que Mike se fue de Colombia, he pensado mucho de que Mike es una persona muy pegajosa. O sea, me gusta mi espacio.
Not exactly the greeting you'd be hoping for from your fiancé. You know, the fiancé you've only actually gone to see twice. The second time of which she says, it's not quite like the first time. I'm not in love like I was and he's too clingy. Yeah, not a great start. But, believe it or not, it gets even worse.
Uf, huele como a popó. Mira tus zapatos a ver.
¿Sí?
Por debajo, sí, huele a popó. Mira.
Poor Mike. It's almost as if the universe is trying to tell him something. What a perfect metaphor for this disaster of a relationship.
Not off to the best start. Ximena's very meticulous about the house. Everything's dusted, cleaned, and I literally just tracked in dog poop on the carpet.
And despite his best attempts to make light of the whole situation and even make fun of himself,
¿Y ya comió algo?
I had some small snacks on the plane. I didn't really have too much. I'm trying not to eat anything that'll give me too much gas.
even then, Ximena doesn't really seem to be in the laughing mood, and Mike can tell that her energy just seems off. So he asks her,
It seems like you're surprised that I came, but is it a good surprise or is it a bad surprise?
Bien, o sea, normal.
and that's when she reveals something truly shocking. She confesses that because Mike wasn't willing to give her the money for the surgery she wanted, she borrowed the money from a loan shark.
Un aumento de senos y remarcación de abdomen. Puedo hacer como trabajar como modelo. Le conté a Mai, pero no querían darme el dinero. Entonces yo pedí un dinero prestado a un gota a gota.
Now, that surgery, which was due to take place in a few days' time, has had to be pushed back due to Mike's visit.
Y tenía la cirugía aproximada para unos días, pero no pude porque, o sea, Mike vino.
Now look, far be it for me to knock someone's self-confidence. If she's determined to be a model, then good luck to her. But the idea of getting yourself in debt with loan sharks, people that I guess you don't want to get on the wrong side of, isn't exactly a great idea, especially when you can't even afford your own rent. How are you going to pay these people back? It's just yet another example of how reckless this lady is. Instead of thanking her lucky stars that she's found someone as nice as Mike, someone completely different to her usual type, you know, criminals, killers, murderers, instead of trying to make it work with this genuinely nice guy, a guy who, by the way, is willing to accept her as she is, willing to take on and love her kids, willing to support her, willing to bring her over to the United States and try and give her a better quality of life. Instead of being thankful for all of that, what does she do? Well, she takes advantage of him because she knows Mike is too naive and too much of a lovesick puppy dog to allow anything bad to happen to her from a loan shark. And look, yes, I know people are watching this saying, okay, but Mike has his faults too. Absolutely he does, of course he does. But I genuinely feel like he's in way over his head with this lady. I really do feel like she's a nasty piece of work. So it didn't really come as a surprise when, on Mike's very first night, after months apart, she wanted to go out clubbing with her friends. Completely selfish and completely ignoring the fact that Mike had been up since 2 AM and must have been exhausted after a 12-hour flight in order to come and see her.
Quiero salir esta noche, ir por allá un rato a un club.
I do have to work tomorrow. I have to get up early, but I'll go out with you for a little while.
Okay, está bien.
Okay.
And when we catch up with them the morning after, Mike tells us,
Around 12, I told Ximena I was exhausted and I wanted to go home, have some alone time, but she wanted to stay.
¿A qué hora llegaste a casa anoche?
Llegué a las 9 de la mañana.
Why did you stay out so late? What did you do?
Yo me quedé porque quería quedarme todo el rato tomando más.
awesome, brilliant, very responsible mother right here. Out partying and clubbing until 9 in the morning, probably I'm willing to bet on a weeknight given that Mike's working the next morning, and she doesn't see anything wrong with her actions. In fact, she's the one who gets frustrated with Mike's questions.
Si tú confiaras en mí, no estaríamos teniendo esta conversación. Tú no confías en mí y ya no quiero hablar más de esto. Me duele mucho la cabeza.
And perhaps, maybe, just maybe, the penny finally dropped because Mike, who incidentally seems to be modelling his dress sense on that hitman look that Ximena obviously likes, finally seems to be coming to the realisation that this isn't a good relationship.
First time I came to Colombia, Ximena was excited to see me. But now, it seems like she's not as happy to see me, and it feels like she doesn't have me as a priority anymore. I'm only here for 10 days this time around, and I came on this trip to spend some more time with her. But it seems like I'm the only one putting in the effort to connect.
So, what are your thoughts on all of this? What do you make of Mike's actions? Is he a naive puppy dog like I think he is, or am I being too harsh on him? Let's continue the conversation down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, you might also want to check out some of the videos that are on screen now. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.